Today, we're gonna go visit Mark Rave, see what he's got going on in the shop. Then we're gonna take a quick field trip over to Groveland, Florida to see Vinny at Chefing Up Pizza. He's gonna make us amazing pizza pie. It's gonna be an awesome day. Stay tuned for this episode. Let's go be awesome.
Well,
Okay.
hey, what do you say, George? What are we doing today, George?
Trying to be awesome, Mark.
Cool. Just kind of standing here thinking about what I'm going to do today. You know, you got to figure that out sometime and do the him and the haw before you really get going. But I think what we're going to kind of run down today is doing some painting on parts. There's a lot of ways to do it. A lot of people will send off parts to get powder coated. Obviously, there's a cost to that. Me, I'm kind of a do-it-yourselfer, so I do all my painting and prep here. Saves me a lot of money, and if you do it right, it's going to last just as long, if not longer, than powder coat. Powder coat is great as long as you don't get no salt or anything like that underneath it, or any sharp edges, or it will start to peel. So I'll show you how I do my parts. They last a long time, and when I mean long time, years. But some of the key factors on prepping parts is the sanding part. And primer. People don't think primer is important, but hey, if you ain't putting primer underneath the paint, it's only going to last you a year, it's going to peel off. So let's kind of go through it and show you what we do. Alrighty, so here we got some parts. We're doing some exhaust manifolds. What I'll do even before I start sanding is I'll start taping my parts off. It's not real hard to do. For an example, when I tape my parts off, I'll just do a little piece here so you kind of see what I'm doing. I'll stretch them across and do them. And then I'll grab a razor blade here, and just kind of run across the edge and cut it off. The extra tape, kind of like that. And then they turn out like this. So this is a surface I don't want painted, so I'll sand everything else. But kind of prep these surfaces, get them cleaned up, make sure you ain't got no imperfections, so the gasket's going to do its job. And then basically when it gets down to painting or to sanding, I use a little 4-inch orbital sander. They work great. You can get in a lot of corners. I use usually 120 is a good sandpaper to get it cleaned up. And I'll just do a little brief thing here on how I do it. So that's a little rundown of what I can do, and I can get in almost all the corners with that 4-inch. Now, the things I can't get into is like these corners in here, so I'll just grab a little Dremel with a stainless brush on it, and I'll get in here and clean all my other corners. Get them all roughed up. As you can see, go around the places. So I'll go around with this little brush on the places that I can't get with my sanding sander. What you want to do is you want to rough things up so paint and primer sticks. If you can't get into corners or you don't have one of these, just take sandpaper and go into the corners with your finger. The better you can get. A lot of people forget the corners and they're going to peel. So you got to get them roughed up. So after that, I will take a cleaner, a prep sol or a surface cleaner that removes any oil or grease or whatever it is, and I'll wipe it down with a paper towel, not a rag, because sometimes rags have chemicals in them. So I'll take a paper towel and wipe them all off. And then all my parts, my motor parts, I prime with Rust-Oleum. You know, this stuff's been around since 1921, and people might laugh, well, you do a rattle can primer? Yeah, this stuff works great, man. I use it all the time, and that's all I've been using for the last 7 years to paint all my parts, and nothing comes back. So that's one of the key factors, is to prime it with that. It's an automotive primer. It's a light gray. It looks like this. So the nice thing about this light gray is it's really gonna make your colors pop. If you prime with a dark color primer, you're gonna have to put on more paint to try to get the color. And it's kind of like a base coat, clear coat, where you want to start with a lighter color to make it really pop. So this here example is a primed part, ready for sanding and paint. Normally, I mean this edge is taped off. I will prime the inside of these, but I won't paint the inside. So it won't rust. It'll just stay this color, gray color. You're not going to see it anyway. But it's just less work when it comes to painting. So anyway, like I said about sanding, after everything's all primed and sits for about a day, You can sand it. I'll use a little 3M pad, scuff pad, but you'll hear a little roughness. What I'll do is, if that's the case, I'll take a 400 and get rid of it. And you'll see it start going away and get it all cleaned up. It'll be nice and smooth and be great for a paint job. So usually I use these in the corners because it's tough to get sandpaper into these corners. So that's what I'll do there. And then the next thing is, after you're all final sanded, you're ready for paint. You can use a rattle can. I don't for my final paints, but you can. I mean, if you do smooth, slow strokes and don't put down a lot of paint, you can make it look good. You want to keep a wet line all the time. You don't want to go from this side to that side. Keep moving across it and doing a wet line. Me personally, I paint all my parts with acrylic enamel. This is an example of blue, and I'll mix it, a thinner and a hardener. So that's how I do all my paint jobs. All of it's acrylic enamel. So, and it holds up to the heat. Don't think it's not. I mean, the motors don't get much over about 140 to 160 anyway, and that paint will handle that easily. And for an example, that's a paint job over there, and that is all acrylic enamel, and George will show you that. Other than that, that's how I paint all my parts. Nothing complicated. I keep my life simple. And like I said, I'm a do-it-yourselfer because obviously there's a cost to send things off to get parts painted, and you can do it at home. Whatever you want to do works for me, and that'll be the end of that. And if you have any questions, reach out to us. God bless, and talk to you soon.